What's up, guys? It's Ashnichrist, and welcome back to Stream Coach TV. So there are 4 things that I usually tell people that are aspiring to be content creators or even current content creators that you need to focus on. Those 4 things are quality, value, consistency, and authenticity. This week's guest is so unapologetically himself and authentic that he's able to talk about even the most taboo topics with his community, and it blows my mind. So if that's something that you're interested in, just keep watching. Brotatoe started streaming in March of 2013 on Twitch, but has actually been streaming for about 7 years at this point, started around 2010. One of his first videos was Super Meat Boy, which he played for about 7 hours and died over and over. He's got some really great ties with the D&D community, and as you can see, his layout on his site and on his profile are very D&D oriented. He's partnered with Humble as well as Chrono. He also streams Table Story Neon Scream, which is a cyberpunk role-playing game that him and some friends have put together. Jay's really well known for his coffee time, which he's been doing for about the past 3 years. Coffee time is basically community time where he sits down at the beginning of his streams, he has coffee for about an hour with his channel, and they just all hang out and chill together. He's also pretty well known within his community for hosting really interesting events to keep his community engagement up. This specific event was actually a way for him to generate some income for his moderators, which is really awesome to see how much he truly does care about his community. Aside from having over 100,000 followers on Twitch, Jay also has over 25,000 followers on Twitter and is very active on that platform as well. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 11. I still can't believe it. It's crazy. Of Stream Coach TV. My name's Ashnichrist, and in this episode, I have Jay Brotatoe. So we're going to jump right into it. We kind of talked a little bit about this before we started stream, but you have been streaming for a while. How long has it been? Yeah, that's crazy. So 7 years. Can you talk to me a little bit about what Twitch was like 7 years ago and what it's like now, and just give me that comparison?
It's just a much different site, right? It's a lot more heavily monetized, and the culture that existed like 7 years ago does not exist anymore.
What was the culture like back then?
Well, again, filled with drama. Lots of drama. Like, people just make stuff up just to go at each other's throats. It wasn't as definitely wasn't as community based, but there was still like a lot of nods towards the community. It was kind of one of those, like, you find a bunch of people and you kind of lock down into a category, and then you expand and you like teach new people. Whereas now I feel like it's small, like, cliques and groups of people from across many categories, because variety is a lot more popular now, right? So but it's definitely, in the same sense, it's also a little bit closer than it used to be, because nobody knew what the fuck they were doing 7 years ago. So there's a lot more opportunities and such, but the monetization's the biggest change.
Yeah. So was there like no monetization back in the day, or was it just everyone was spending a ton of time on the site and just kind of living in their parents' basements? Or
I mean, that I was one of those people. But it was like you had the tips back then. You had tips for sure. That was a big thing, is just putting the default PayPal notification thing in your info section, and they didn't bring sub buttons around until Twitch, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a little bit before. And back then, ads were the only way you could make money. That was your biggest way, is you lived off of tips and you lived off of ads. And when they first introduced ads, there was this really shitty like salsa commercial for it was Ragu. It was a Ragu commercial, and it was only in Spanish. And broadcasters wanted to make money, so they would just play like 6 ads in a row, and it was just the same Spanish Ragu ad over and over and over for like 6 months until they finally got with a couple more advertisers. And then it was like a Skittles advertisement and the Spanish advertisement and a couple more. But it was yeah.
That's so memey.
Did not pay good at all.
I'm definitely gonna have to see like a copy of that Ragu ad
I want to see
someday.
if I can find it. It's probably like committed to memory the first time I see it now. Like, yeah, it's gonna be like going down a dark path again.
That's intense. So talk to me a little bit about your professional journey. So I assume you started off on Justin TV, and you were just very basic kind of casual streamer. How long was it until you started to kind of see this as a career path for yourself and you started to take it very seriously?
So I was in like a really weird position. I actually started to make it a career. Like I started out with that intention. I was like, I have to make this a career because it looks so damn cool. And then I think like within the first like 3 to 6 months, I got partnered. And that was like when you could just play ads. And I didn't really know it would be a career. Honestly, I had always hoped, but I don't think I really knew it would be a career until like 2 to 3 years ago. I've definitely been living off of streaming since pretty much like the first couple of months that I started, but there was like a point in between where I had to stop and I had to go get a couple of jobs and kind of keep myself afloat and go, get back on the horse eventually, go full time again. So it's been like a couple of small moments here and there of like, oh shit, this could work. And then about 2 to 3 years ago, I was like, okay, it's actually working. There was no moment where I like woke up the one day and I was like, oh wow, it's a career now. It was kind of like over a long time, and I just kind of like looked back and was like, oh yeah, I've been paying my bills and I'm not dead, so this is kind of what you'd call a career, I think, at least a job.
Yeah. Yeah, and that actually really speaks to your consistency too, because I know that's an extremely hard part about streaming as well. Or like those days whenever you don't have the energy to stream, but you still have to do it because you know that this is your full-time job. How do you get through something like that? Like how do you pump yourself up and get yourself excited to stream?
I don't know. Have you seen the movie Birdman?
No.
Oh my god, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's with Michael Keaton. It's really good. He said it's basically about like a struggling actor who's he's pretty much got like dementia and he has an alternate personality that talks to him. But he says a line on there, and I think it's a pretty common like stage line too, where it's like the only me is the me on stage. I feel like I kind of like slip into a completely different version of myself when I get on the stream. Whereas like normally I'm a lot more shy and reserved. The second I start the stream, I like crank myself up to 11. So even if I'm having like a really shitty day, like lately I've been better with if I can't do it. If I can only get to like 8, then I'm like, okay guys, like it's either going to be a really chill stream, or I'm just not going to stream. But for the first couple of years, it was like you have a job to do, you have to get on, you have to survive, you have to make money, and you have people to entertain and make laugh, most importantly. So like you have to overcome it. Like no matter what it is, you suck it the fuck up, right? Like if it's depression needs to fuck off, which is really unhealthy. Like,
Yeah.
It never did me any favors, but it let me get through it at least. Nowadays, it's like if I wake up and I'm not feeling 150%, I'm kind of like, we'll see. And there's some days I just can't even press the button, and those days are like, nah, I'm gonna watch anime all day and just die. And hopefully
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely been there. And I know this is a very common thing with a lot of streamers too, is either we have depression and we use streaming as a way to kind of cope with not having like many social experiences in our lives, or we stream and that can actually exacerbate our depression because we feel so isolated.
Yeah.
So how do you and how do you kind of like where are you at on that spectrum? Where like did streaming exacerbate your issues?
Everything does. Everything's terrible. No, I'm in a lot better of a place than I used to be. Like I used to live alone. Now I have a roommate. She's moving out in a month though, so I'm gonna just slip into a crippling depression and not stream for a couple years after that. But up until this point, it's been really good with having somebody in the house to talk to. But like I remember I was talking with actually Alaskan Savage a couple of years ago, and I feel like he's kind of the same regard or on the same level with me in this, where like if we didn't need to leave the house, we wouldn't leave the house. If like we didn't need to speak, we wouldn't speak. And like I had come to a realization at one point that I didn't say anything outside of my streams. Like I didn't utter a word outside of my streams for like 5 months at one point. And it was like I was like, oh shit, like this is bad. Like this is really bad. So at that point it was really pressing down on me a lot. But I think now it's just like now I live in the big city, so it's easy to get out and see other people and actually interact with them, thankfully.
Yeah, what would be like the best piece of advice that you could give somebody that was kind of experiencing that amount of isolation? Because that can be extremely crippling for people.
Yeah. the blunt side of me wants to say like get a fucking life, but like I think there's some merit in that, but not in a mean way, as in like actually just taking small moments out of your time and just getting out, like going and seeing other human beings, even if it's like going and getting a coffee and just talking to another human being. Like it really helps me to step outside, take a walk in a park, walk around, and then like it just kind of puts everything in perspective, because you're I mean, you're boring if you only stay in your own little bubble for your entire life. So lately I've been trying to get out of that bubble and bring back new experiences, because I mean, like what are you gonna tell people like you did for your day if you streamed for 12 hours yesterday, right? You're gonna be like, hey guys, what did you guys do yesterday? Oh yeah, well, I was streaming. Pretty cool that you got to go race go-karts, but I was playing video games, which sounds like the coolest thing in the world, right? But it's actually really like depressing if that's all you do.
Yeah,
So
I definitely agree. I know, like, whenever I was streaming full time, it was so hard and mentally taxing. We talked about this a little bit right before we went live, but
yeah,
it's honestly the isolation. You have to have just this amazing amount of mental strength to carry you through those up and down periods, because there are times, of course, with any job whenever you feel like you're just fucking killing it, like you feel like you're doing
yeah.
a great job. And with streaming, I've noticed like the highs are very high and the lows are very low. Do you feel
Yeah.
like that as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm bipolar, right? So I ride those highs and lows. I've already got highs and lows in my life, so my life just follows the stream's highs and lows. But yeah, it always comes back to like getting outside and human contact, because that like opens up your world right then and there. And also like never really taking your stream too seriously. Like even I'm aware that my stream could crash and burn tomorrow, so it's kind of like one of those, God, it's been a good 7 years if it happens. It's just playing video games. Like I'll find something else eventually, right?
Yeah.
Keeps it helps keep me humble, because I think humility is one thing that's really needed to stream. You really need to be humble in everything that you do, or else you'll get an inflated ego and you'll just fizzle out real quick. So
Yeah, and that's you can tell that some people have inflated egos like that, and it's just so detrimental because they expect the world, and when they're not getting it, such as whenever affiliates got sub buttons and people were super cranky about it, like they can just become this negative energy, and it's really hard to want to watch somebody that's just being negative all the time. In my experience as a viewer, this is just me, I'm not everyone, but I would much rather watch somebody who is like having a good time, funny, interactive. They don't even have to be in that great a mood. If they're like upset that day, if their shit's not on point, it's totally fine. But that's from my experience what most viewers want to see, although there are certain people that kind of enjoy like the more dramatic side of it.
Yeah, they crave that negativity. Well, I mean, negativity attracts negative people, right? So I always try and keep that shit like as far away from me as possible. I don't engage, I don't touch it, I don't care about it, because like it's like I'm playing video games for a living. I'm fucking talking to people. I'm getting to meet new people every day. I'm not about to get that dragged down by something else. So
Yeah.
I just try and
Yeah,
just try and stay
exactly.
out of that.
And it seems like, because I know a lot of the like extremely popular streamers, some of them are just very into the drama, and that for some reason, to me, I feel like that can kind of be negative. Of course, like some people are drawn to that type of entertainment, and that's totally fine. But for people that are new to the platform and that are just like getting into Twitch, and they come and they see like these bigger streamers and they're being like racist or sexist or just terrible, and these young kids are seeing it, like they're not really being a good example, right?
Well, yeah. At the same time, though, like I see a lot more positivity, thankfully, but I think that's just like the ability to curate. And with the kid thing, I mark my stream as 18 plus, right? So none of that shit gets by me. If someone's like, I get young people in my stream all the time, and I tell them like, you better act 18 or you better get the fuck out, because like I personally, like, I'm not here to be a good example for anybody. We talk about eating ass every day on my stream. Like that's let the kids learn about that, or let the parents turn off the PC quick. Run.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that. That's another thing that I noticed about you whenever I first started watching your stream, is like I think you had said that you're like, I'm a cis white male, like I'm in a pretty good position, so like
Yeah.
I try to learn more about everybody else, and I try to not be an asshole. So that really
Yeah,
impressed me.
the epitome of privilege, I guess, is how it would go. The cis white male, you got everything. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt me, thankfully, to learn more about people. I personally just don't think like I'm a very open person in very many aspects on stream as well. So like, that's the vibe I try and push on everybody else. And if they're not into that, then I guess they're not into me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. So you've been streaming for 7 years, as we established, and that's a crazy long time. That is that blows my mind. I've been on Twitch for 5 years, and the consistency aspect has been extremely hard for me. So what has motivated you throughout these 7 years to keep going, even whenever times get really hard?
I think it's just it's both like a collection of all the time that I've put in. Like I probably think about quitting like once a week, just because it's like, oh, it's a bad day. Fuck this. I'm out. Like, this is the worst thing I've ever done. The biggest mistake. And then like I cool down and kind of think, like I've put in 7 years of work. Like I can't just quit on a dime. And also like, I now have people that depend on me, right? I have people that if they're having a shitty day, they tune in. So, I want to now be there so that maybe their shitty day won't be as bad. And then that's enough to get me going. May not make me on time, but it's enough to get me going.
Yeah, you've like made it really important to yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not like one of those like self-righteous, like I have to help the people, but like I do know, thanks to like how many people are really vocal about it. They're like, hey, you really helped me on a good day or on a bad day today, so thank you so much. And I'm a lot more conscious of that now too. So it's just one of those like, hey, if I take a day off because I'm not feeling 100%, who else might not be feeling 100% that could both cheer me up, and I'm going to cheer them up. So
yeah, absolutely. What do you feel like your unique value is, like in the Twitch space and also to your audience? What do you feel like keeps those people coming back to you?
oh fucking, I wish I fucking knew, right? Like, yeah, I wish I knew, because then I could get them all to come back. I think it's definitely like we as a community are really open. Like we discuss every topic pretty much, like politics and sex. Like sex is always a big one because sex is always really important to me, and relationships are important to me. So like we talk about that a lot, and there's a lot of people in my chat that are struggling with things like that. So that's a big one. And then relationships are big because like the topic of like me being polyamorous comes up, and then people are like, well, what does that mean? And then like the chat starts to talk about it, and they start to open up new views and ideas, and it just helps me like both like give some solidarity to some people in most of the topics we talk about, and also introduce people to new and interesting things. So I think it's more of like it's never really the same conversation, and B, you can always kind of expect that there's going to be that level now. Like there's that level of conversation. Like a lot of my viewers are fucking meme lords, and they're just like shit posters and shit disturbers, right? But they know when to be serious, thankfully. So I think it's like everyone's kind of mimicked I don't take myself very seriously, so nobody takes a lot that goes on in the stream very seriously, except when it's explicitly stated as so.
Okay.
So it's kind of a place you can just be yourself and hang out and talk about whatever you want.
That's really unique. So when did this start? Has this always kind of been your culture?
I mean, kind of. Like, I think over the years I've probably gone through like so many different sets of rules where like we used to be really strict, and then we used to be like we had no rules, and now it's like a mix of like I'm strict if like they're an asshole, they get shit on, but otherwise like I'm quick to try and teach someone a lesson, and so are the viewers too. The viewers they like self-moderate like a shit ton, so that helps a lot. It's we've done so like that. All of that is usually during coffee time, and coffee time started about like 3 to 4 years ago, maybe 3, because I used to play one new game a week, scheduled, and if people had already like, or if they didn't want to be spoiled on a new game, I would do like 30 minutes of drinking a coffee so they could still come in, chat, see all their friends, and then like, okay, the spoilers are starting, I'm out. and it became like the best part of my show. Like people started enjoying it more than the regular gameplay. So like to the point now where like the second I start playing games, like 100 to 200 people just leave because it's not coffee time anymore. So that just kind of like started it, and then over time I've opened up more as a person and found out more about myself. So like of course it's going to directly translate to the stream, whereas I think this year is now where it's like pretty much any topic's allowed. Before we used to like moderate it and gatekeep it a little bit, but now it's pretty much just open to anything, and if I don't feel like talking about it, I just tell them to fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really unique because a lot of people have just extremely just rules. They just have like very tight rules, and so it's really interesting to see somebody who's just kind of nothing's barred, like just talk, and then I'm gonna tell you guys how I feel. So I have a lot of respect for that. Can you kind of tell me about your journey as a variety caster? I know usually people say that you want to stick with one game, and if you stick with that one game and you grow within that community, then you open yourself up to being a variety caster. But then I've also seen people that have been a variety caster their entire streaming career, and that's worked for them. So for people that are kind of juggling this idea of like, should I find a space in a community? Should I find a niche and just do that? Or should I just start as a variety caster and deal with the fact that it's going to be a lot harder for me to gain viewers? What would you say to people that are kind of balancing those two ideas in their heads right now?
I personally think like variety streaming is quote unquote like dead now. Like it's nigh fucking impossible to really truly grow your stream. I think it's good to get yourself to a comfortable point, but past that I don't think it's viable in any regard, because it's just I feel like it's impossible to get enough people into your stream on a daily basis without being the most meticulous and like cunning person alive, both in like advertising and what you do. Whereas you look at somebody like let's say like Dr. Disrespect, right? He played H1Z1 and now PUBG, and he grew through those two games, and like his growth was exponential. So I think like they both serve different purposes, where if you go variety, your community is much more likely to be like a little smaller, and it's going to be steady kind of horizontal growth, or onwards and upwards rather. Whereas like if you do single game, it's going to be a lot of like flat line, and then you'll get that one day where it just goes up, but you have to fight as hard as you can that it doesn't drop back down. So I think they're both volatile in their own regards. If I were to give advice to anybody, it would just be literally like play exactly what you want for as long as you want, because at the end of the day, like if you're not having fun, then they're going to tell. Like they're really susceptible to that. So they're going to know if you're not enjoying the game. Yeah,
absolutely. That's definitely true. There are some days whenever I'm just like, I just want to play Overwatch. I'm going to get like 5 viewers, but I'm just going to fucking play Overwatch because, I mean, that's what sounds good right now. And it's really easy, I feel like, to default to something that you don't really have to like try and put that much effort forward because it's just... the game just comes so natural to you. So, and that's kind of its own, that's its own problem too, because you can't do that all the time or your stream's not really going to grow unless you're just like really ridiculously good at, especially those higher esports titles.
So yeah, I think it's a balance of like I have off days every once in a while. Like my Saturdays, they're already like really short days. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna paint miniatures on Saturdays for a little bit until y'all get bored of it. And it's like a really chill stream. Now we do games Monday to Friday, and then we paint a little bit on the Saturdays. It's not like growing my stream, but they see me happy and enjoying it, and it's for sure like I'm gonna have fun, and we just sit there and talk about any topic. So it's one of those, like, I think you really have to sit there and go like, okay, I really don't want to play this game, but I kind of have to right now. So maybe let me just find the things to enjoy in it rather than the things I dislike. And if you really dislike a game, then you can't really help that, right?
Right.
But it's you really have to, like I said earlier, be really meticulous, and maybe cunning isn't the right word, but very smart about what games you play if you're doing variety.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk to me a little bit about like setting a schedule and what kind of preparation you do before you stream?
Well, for me, there's fuck all. I wake up. I wake up, I make a coffee, and I get on stream. But that's like my whole shtick, right? That's the point of coffee time. Is like, it's like I'm hoping they're waking up too, and they're like sitting down and eating breakfast or whatever have you, and we're all just talking over like breakfast is kind of the feel of it. So, but other than that, like all my prep for streaming comes in the night, where I'm like either talking and setting up networking and whatever have you. Aside from that, it's more so like it's a quick, like, does the hair look good? Is the coffee made? Okay. You know, what do I do today? Am I going to play a game today? I have no idea. Let's just start the stream and see what happens. I think I'm the worst person to ask that, because that's the whole thing of the stream. It's like you don't know what to expect. There's no guarantee at any given time.
That's amazing.
Drinking coffee.
That's actually awesome, because it's I feel at one point I was putting like way too much effort into just the pre-stream preparation for everything and it gets stressful too, because you're like, shit, gotta go live.
Well, yeah, I used to do that. Like, I used to wake up 5 minutes before I had to be on stream, and I would just bolt out of bed, and I would make a coffee, and I would, like, press the go live button because I had to be on time at that exact moment. But now, like, I realized when I did that, I was fucking miserable. So now it's like, if I wake up late, I'm like, okay, guys, sorry. I know this is, like, the 11th day late in a row. My sleep schedule's out of whack right now because of role-playing stuff. But, it's like, sorry, but I need to wake up a little bit. So like, there's that prep. I lay in bed for like an hour every morning to just kind of like wake up, unwind, kind of figure out what I need to do for the day, not really for the stream. It's more so like, can I do laundry for 30 minutes after stream? Like, do I even have time to eat tonight? Like, I have 3 shows tonight. Do I have time to eat? Things like that. But now, I'm usually late, and I'm usually just lazy and unprepared. But I've kind of made that into something, thankfully, to my benefit.
That is actually really good. Note to self. So I have also seen that you're doing like a lot of D&D stuff, and you're collaborating with a lot of other creators and streamers with that. Can you talk to me a little bit about how important you feel like collaboration is, and then niching yourself into a community like you have with Dungeons and Dragons?
I think it's super important. I think it's like, it's not really a growing your stream kind of thing, but it's more like a creating opportunities for the future kind of thing. Like, through playing D&D with other streamers, like I've made a couple of like really good friendships, and I've gotten a lot of like really good content out of it that like I can now point my viewers to and go, hey, if you guys ever want to watch something like this, go and watch it, right? And I've got, it's like a couple hundred hours now of backlog content that I can, like, if you're bored, go watch this. Like, this is something cool. But that's like, it's really, really important to me, because I'm just a big fucking nerd doing big fucking nerd things. So it's more of a like, hey, do you play D&D? I play D&D. Let's talk about D&D, like literally all the time. I could talk about it for 24 hours a day. Let's just only talk about it. And I think like for any beginning streamer, it's really good to get into a community in that regard. Maybe not even a game, but just a general community. Like, if you're a hardcore gamer, find the hardcore gamers. Just find like-minded people and surround yourself with them, because then it's easier to be who you are, right? Like, it's easier to be who you are and what you want to do, and you can actually express your passion to people. So that's been really, really helpful. As for collabing, I think collabing is really important, but if you don't want to, like, you don't have to. I feel there's a lot of people that have gotten where they are without doing it, and I think it's a quick way to grow, but it may not always be the best way to grow, because at the end of the day, like, you may get one person that watches you, which is fucking rad. But it's not going to be like 100,000 people watching you just from collabing with someone. So I think a lot of people put too much importance on that, but it can be important.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's also really good too, I feel like, if you're going to conventions and you're just hanging out with people and meeting new people, that's kind of always that, and that's going to help you with that problem we were talking about earlier too, just that isolation of feeling like you can't, you're just fucking alone all the time. Mm-hmm. So how important do you feel like it is to go to conventions, have all these business meetings, or meet new streamers?
I was talking about this with our Friday role playing crew the other night. I don't think it, or our Wednesday, which I don't know, one of them. I don't think it's as important now, but that's probably because I've gone to enough conventions now. Like I used to try and go to like 4 a year, maybe 5 a year. I had a plan where I was actually going to be traveling all of last year, but I quickly scrapped that after like one PAX. Because it's a huge trade-off, right? Like you're paying $3,000 or $2,000 to go to a convention, potentially meet people, and hopefully bring back enough opportunities to the stream to make up for the fact that you've just spent $3,000 and you've also maybe lost like $1,000 or $2,000 because you're not live. So like I think it's definitely like it has its benefits if you want to meet people and make actual connections, but at the same time you shouldn't necessarily need to be in person to do that anymore. Like you can strike up a conversation with someone in person, and maybe if they're going to an event, then plan to go with that. But as far as like business meetings and such go, from what I found from conventions, they're never usually that fruitful. So like you can go to PAX East and you can meet every game developer there and hang out, but A, you have to remember to email all of them when you get back, and B, you really only get that one first impression in person, and if that was like what you were banking on, then you just wasted X amount of money because that person didn't want to work with you, right? That and like you can always fire an email regardless. Like you don't have to be in person to introduce yourself. So I'd say like now I just go to see people, which is I think what a lot of other people do. I don't really think they're the most important thing for business, because if you leave your business doings to only like 12 or 15 days a year when you're at a convention, then what are you doing the other 300 and some odd days?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you feel like is a better way to spend your time if you're trying to actually grow a stream or grow yourself within this industry?
Oh, definitely talking to people, like just being known as somebody. I don't mean like making as many friends and watching as many streams and trying to, like sub to as many people as possible, because there are some people that do that, right? They sub to like 400 people and they're the person that's friends with everyone, right? I don't think that does you any good. I think it's just best to find a group of people that you enjoy and become an integral part of their community, right? If they're a streamer or not, it's bound to be fruitful at some point. Like if it is a streamer, then I know like I've in my 7 years now, I've like become a part of a lot of people's communities where like I was a mod for them way back when, or like I was just a regular for like 2 years straight. And now like when I go back in there, they're like, oh, hey, it's Jay. Like, hey, Jay's back. What's going on, Jay? Like, it's really good to see you. I think it's better to just like make friends and not make connections. It's always easier when you have friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And being like, you're basically being a more authentic person too if you're actually trying to be friends with somebody instead of just trying to fucking connect with them for their stuff.
100%, yeah.
And that's something we talked about too, is like some of the people in this industry are just, they can be very they can be negative, or they can really be into the drama, or they can really be into like promoting themselves instead of just being there to like help other people and just be friends with people and like get to know them.
Yeah, I think it's like a two sides of the coin kind of thing. Like you can either be the person that helps everybody, but then you're just the guy that helps everybody, or you can be the person that just takes from everybody, but then you've taken and you've not given any. So it's like I haven't seen as much of the what I'd call like manipulation in the past few years, thankfully. No doubt it probably still happens, but like those people exist everywhere, right? After a couple of years, you just like know exactly how to spot them, and you're like, yeah, I'm not the person you're looking for. Sorry, dude. My bad.
Yeah.
Maybe try somebody else. But I much prefer the genuine and authentic interactions with people and keeping an actual like group of friends instead of trying to be friends with everybody. Because then that's me. I want everyone to like me, but then I get all pouty when people don't, right? So yeah.
Dude, same. My life is seriously just that. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about what you feel like is a personal habit that over time has contributed to this success for you on the platform.
Probably I'd say like probably just being open with as many people as possible, just being authentic with people. Like I have my DMs open on Twitter, which is a fucking mistake sometimes, but I have them open on Twitter in case people like they're going through something and they need to talk. Like I'm always willing to give someone an ear in the stream, not to be their therapist or anything, but like if sometimes people just want attention and they want people to listen. So I think it's like patience and just being open with people. because then they can actually see like me and not like be like, oh, he's got like 200 viewers. There's a lot of people here. I can't get to know them. It's like, nah, like you can all just get to know me at the same time. None of you are more important than the other, but you're all, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you definitely make that apparent too whenever you come into your channel. Like you talk to
so.
everybody. I swear, it's so your ability to manage that chat is super impressive. That's another that's probably the first thing that I noticed about you was just you were able to like respond to pretty much everything, manage everybody. Like it was really intense. So can you teach me about and teach me and like our viewers how the hell do you manage something that has that amount of contributions to it? Like that your chat is pretty vocal, especially during coffee time. Everybody wants to talk. Like how do you manage a chat that has 200 people in it that are all contributing?
I think it's I mean, to be honest, like I don't know. I want to say experience, but I also think it's like a little, I always take a topic and then I spin it into an actual like topic. Like somebody says something and I'm like, whoa, like look at this, guys, everyone look at this thing, this is really cool, right? So I always just kind of like take what someone says, turn it into a topic, and then we all talk about it, and then it's easy enough for me, maybe the way, maybe it's like a collaborative effort, I think, where they present their opinions and everything in very concise formats, and they, it's quick little blurbs of text, so it's pretty easy to read. Thankfully, I read really quickly now more than ever. I used to read like books in a day, and now I could probably read 1.5 a day if I really put my mind to it. But I don't know, I've always been really good with processing that kind of information really, really quickly, so I guess that's helped me. But that's how I started my stream was, like seven years ago. Nobody talked to their chat. Like no one talked to their chat. So I was like, okay, I want to be as funny as this person, but I also want to I want to not be this person because they don't ever fucking talk to their chat. I want to give people the attention that they want, because like I would go into their stream and they wouldn't give me attention. So I was like, fuck you. I'm going to give people attention just to spite you. That was so like that's been my focus from the beginning though, right? So that was the first thing I learned was like, where's the best place for my chat? Like I have my chat popped out and full screened on a monitor so that I can read everything most effectively. And now it's like a second nature for my eyes to drift over to my second monitor and immediately read the chat. Even while I'm like playing offline, I'm still like looking over at someone's chat, like watching it scroll by. So it's just a lot of like perseverance and just trying not to miss messages. And I feel like I miss like 90% of messages all the time. So I don't know. I feel like I could do better.
I think you do a great job. Do you feel like your mod team helps you out a lot with that?
Oh fuck yeah. A lot of them lurk, the bastards, but yeah, sometimes I gotta rip the mods that alert because there's something going on. But like they definitely help. I've taken a stance with modding. Like I mod like kind of like the paragons of the community, where like someone just comes in and they somehow become super well known. It's like, okay, well I'll mod you because everyone looks up to you, and then like that helps divert it too, because instead of like asking me a really stupid question, they ask the mods really stupid questions. So the mods get all that shit, and I don't have to worry about like the dumbest question that anyone's ever asked in their life. And I don't have to worry about getting triggered because of that, or like having to respond to that in some way. So, but the mods must really, really help with handling a lot of the chat sometimes, because they both engage in the discussion with me, but also they engage everybody else. So it's kind of like diverts like 50-ish or 100-ish people to talking to other people instead of just me. Like my stream wouldn't be what it is if everyone tried to talk to me, because I get angry at them when they don't talk to anyone else. Because it's like there's like 300 other people here, man. Like they're more interesting than I am. Like stop talking to me. Like talk to them for 5 minutes. Stop asking me questions. Go talk to someone else.
That's amazing. Do you how like seriously do you and your mods take this behind the scenes? Do you guys ever have meetings or like have rules or anything where you guys plan stuff out? Like
we have a Discord specifically for the mods, where like they actually just run it on their own by now, where we have a meeting section where we used to meet like on a like bi-weekly or like once a month. Now it's like it's like a myth. It's like a modern legend. They all get excited when we have a meeting, because like sometimes I don't have time. But we do meetings when like there's a big thing that needs to be addressed, and like I bring them all in. I'm like, listen, this is what I'm noticing. This is what I need you guys to do if you're cool. And I also take a lot back from them too, right? So it's a constant back and forth conversation. If they don't like something, it's like, okay, noted. I'll see what I can do about that. Or it's like, yeah, I can't. You're gonna have to suck that up. But it's a lot of like back and forth communication. We don't talk on a daily basis, but like we do talk when it's important. So there's quite a bit of communication, and they're all like friends with each other too. Thankfully, like they have their own little D&D group that they play D&D with among the mods, and I hear stories of it every Friday morning. They all tell me how crazy one of our other mods is because he's their DM. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
they're a good bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say to people that are maybe newer to streaming and they know that they need to build a mod team?
I'd say like just start off with like the people that you think are going to reflect your ideals the most, right? Like I choose people that are kind of like-minded, but at the same time, even if they aren't, they can at least reflect my ideals. So if they're like really shitty of a person, like they're not gonna get mod, right? It's just kind of, it's like pulling a flower out of a bed of weeds. You just have to find the one person that's going to be a good example or is loved by the chat or is the most helpful. I don't know. I've modded many people for like many different reasons. Like one of my mods said hi to everybody the first day that he joined, and I was like, okay, you're modded because you say hi to everyone. And now he's like one of the most helpful mods, but like it was just because he said hi to everyone. I was like, I need one of you. Like, come to me. Like, you are in my collection now. So it's like I do a lot of like self or introspection about like what we need for the stream, and then like if I see somebody that fits that, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Like we don't have a hard ass. Let me mod you. Like, all right, now we have a mod that's like super hard on everyone. Now we have one that's really kind. Now we have one that like can pop in on a Sunday or a Monday or something. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So that like
hoodies. They're bugging me in the chat. They've been wanting hoodies that say they mod for me for like the past 2 years. It's also another like legendary myth. Is they keep looking for hoodies.
That's so fucking adorable.
They have their own Discord channel for it, and they come back to the discussion probably once every 3 months. At one point, I think it was changed to mod garter belts, but now it's back to
garter belts.
Yeah, I don't know. That was
Oh my god. Okay, team. Listen, we're gonna hook you guys up, all right? I'm gonna smack your Brotatoe around a little bit after we're done with this episode, and we're gonna get you some hoodies. Like,
I think they've actually gotten frustrated. They've taken it into their own hands now, so I'm just left to foot the bill.
Oh, great. This is gonna be fun. That's awesome. I've definitely seen some people with really cool mod teams, and to hear that like your team works really well together behind the scenes is really cool, because I know that's extremely important. Like, building a team is a huge part of building a community. Like, having people there to have your back is so important. You can't fucking get anywhere as a streamer unless you've got a good core group of people that you can rely on to help you build this. Like,
oh, for sure, yeah.
Because you're literally building a business, right? And you can't really build a business without some kind of support system.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, if they're willing to help out, you need to like know how to delegate, and also at the same time, like, these are the people. Like, I usually use my mods as like my focus testing group. So I like showed them, we just released a new merch line, so I showed them all, and I was like, okay, do any of you hate this? Because I figure if like one of them dislikes it, because I know them so well now, if one of them dislikes it, then probably like 100 other people that are like their personality are also going to just vehemently dislike it. So they're my focus group, because they resonate with different kinds of people in the chat. So
yeah, that's a great idea too. It's really good, I think, to like test it on them before, because they're going to be honest with you.
Yeah. And they usually are. Yeah, we used to have really, really strict rules, and one of my, like, I consider him a close friend. He at one point was like, he was like, hey, this shit's like an echo chamber, and it's disgusting, because it was like forced positivity and fake positivity, and it was like we were like, no negativity, which meant like you can't even like speak bad about things, and that was just like there was no open discussion. It was just like this, you had to say nice things about things, and he was like, it's an echo chamber, and I was like, okay, cool, we're just gonna have no rules then, we'll see how that works. And I really value what they say a lot.
How do you feel about that like positivity culture out on Twitch?
I think whatever works best for people is totally fine, right? Like I don't, I'm not going to do the things, and I have at one point, like I was in that position where it was like you wake up and you're like, "Good morning, everyone. It's a Monday, the greatest day to be alive," right? And like, and I was that person at one point because I loved Mondays, but like now I just don't have the fucking energy. I more applaud those people for finding the energy because like whatever helps you not be a piece of shit is totally fine by me. Like as long as you're not a piece of shit, then sure, like do whatever you want. I literally don't care. It's kind of I'm usually like really apathetic about a lot of stuff like that because I can't be bothered to focus on other people. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I definitely think like there's a huge push towards positivity with a lot of people on the platform, but I think that a lot of people aren't authentic in that positivity. I think that like sometimes they're just trying to be a light for people, but they feel dead inside, which is just that's so bad for your mental health.
yeah, I think it's more damaging for that person, and it's also like part of the reason why I don't care what anyone else does, because like eventually I feel like you're gonna learn your own lesson, right? Like you're gonna if you're trying to be as positive as you possibly can, and you're trying to force an echo chamber like that, eventually like when a little bit of darkness creeps into your life, it's going to be fucking overwhelming, and you're gonna like probably learn your lesson. Like, okay, maybe I need the dark to contrast the light a little bit. Maybe I should open up a little bit more, and if not, then hey, like that's their prerogative, and fuck it, whatever, do what you want.
Yeah, definitely. So, what would you say that your most monumental moment has been? Just to switch it kind of out of this conversation, this topic right now, your biggest moment on Twitch.
It's probably like 3 years ago when I hit 1,000 subscribers. That was a moment where it was like that was the culmination of all of my efforts over the years. It's like simultaneously the best thing that's ever happened to my stream and the worst, because like afterwards I got really complacent because I didn't know where else to go. But at that point I had always said to myself, like, if I hit 1,000 subs, I can call it a career. I can probably like I could live off of that. That's definitely something I could live off of. And then like I was like, okay, well what's next? Like, do I ask for 2,000? Do I ask for 1,200? What's my next goal? Like, I don't know what to push for. So, and it's hurt me a lot in a lot of ways because of complacency. But at the same time, it was like a really emotional moment. Like, I was just bawling on stream because I was like, holy shit! Like, there's 1,000 of you idiots. Like, wow, how could you? What is this? So that's probably the best moment.
That's so great. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I couldn't imagine. There's actually this I can't remember the entrepreneur's name right now, but the theory is called 1,000 True Fans.
Yeah, I love that
So,
theory. Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. And it's just like, for those of you that don't know, 1,000 True Fans is you don't need to have 100,000 followers. You don't need to have 1 million people watching your broadcast. It's you need to have 1,000 people that love you and will support whatever you do. And, obviously we'll pay for those things that you do and we'll financially support those things that you do. It's not hard to get 1,000 people. So
It's pretty
that's
good perspective.
I mean, yeah, and that's awesome too. Like 1,000 subs is freaking great. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't freaking imagine, to be completely honest.
It was pretty wild.
So looking back throughout this 7-year journey, what do you feel like you could have done better?
Probably be more consistent. There's been a lot of times where I was like, oh, variety's dead, I'm switching, I'm gonna be a full-time Destiny streamer, and then I got bored of it, right? Because I'm like fucking mega ADHD with everything I play. Like if I don't even like it for a minute, I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna play this. Nah, fuck it, I don't want to play it because I don't want to do anything I don't enjoy in that regard. So, and I want them to have fun, and if I'm not having fun, then they're not gonna fucking like it. So probably a lot more consistency, just staying true to what I've wanted all along and not trying to like bandwagon jump like everyone. I gave advice for people that were like looking forward to Destiny 2, and I was like, I'm not going to stream it because I'm not going to get caught in that trap of being one of the 7,000 people that stream it, because you're not going to see any growth. Like, I'd rather just do my own thing, keep trekking down my path and go a little bit slower than trying to like jump on this train and get the most growth possible.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. And that part is consistency is the hardest part, I feel like, of creating any content. There's this other rule. It's called QVCA. And so it's quality, value, consistency, authenticity. And those are like the 4 things that you want to focus on whenever you are creating content, supposedly. And I
like that.
feel like, yeah, and it's really good, but like the consistency factor is so freaking hard. So,
Yeah.
how do you do that? How do you get consistent with your stuff? How do you get consistent with your streams and your quality too? Because it feels like your vibe is usually extremely like consistent.
It's one of those. I guess I'm a very like introspective person, so I feel
Mhm.
like I know every flaw about myself that I outwardly express. Like I'm just like a little too anal about that. I'm very conscious of like what I put out there. I'm very conscious of like what I come across as most times. So I think like realizing that hey maybe like my consistency isn't the best. I like only focused on that from that point on. Like I've been late to like my past 5 streams and I fucking hate myself for it, but it's because I have to stay up until 3 a.m. every Saturday night to do a podcast. So it's like making small steps and figuring out like where in my life I can sacrifice something to make more time for X, which is bad because like then if you stream all day nothing in the house gets done or blah blah blah. So I've taken like a day off at once a week. Like I have a scheduled day off. It's more so just like making a promise to yourself and just following through with it. Like I set a time that I'm going to be live. I'm promising to other people I'm going to be live. Then if I don't make it, then like if I can't even be on time for them, then like what the fuck can I do? So it's more of just no matter how shitty it is, you just have to like push through. If you can't wake up early, you have to wake up early. Like you have to wake up early, or you shouldn't make that promise to yourself. So this is from a man that has broken a lot of promises to us. So,
Yeah, that's super hard for me too because I always feel like I either feel like I'm putting too much into streaming or not enough. Like I can't
yeah,
find that fucking
yeah,
sweet spot, you know? And that's
hmm
so hard. And I know that that's something that a lot of people feel like too is they're either streaming all the time and they can't
hmm
go out with their friends. They're making a ton of sacrifices. They're investing all of their time is the most valuable currency. Like you're investing all of it into your stream. That is your life. Like
yeah,
you have to take it extremely seriously at that point. If that's your entire fucking time, that's crazy. And then there are people that are like, I really love this, but I feel like shit today, and then I feel like shit the next day, and then I feel like shit the next day. It feels like I can never just jump on and do it. So
yeah.
that's such a hard thing to get past.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's a definite like huge block. But like if you want to do it, you have to do it, right? Like
Hmm.
a lot of people are like, what's your how do you start streaming? Like you click the button, dude. You click the button, press the button, and you're live. That's how you stream. Like
Yeah.
there's no like build up to it. There's no epic massive like announcement that you're gonna stream on this date. You just click live and you tell people like, hey, I'm live, and then you just entertain. Even
Hmm.
if nobody's watching, you still entertain. Like just never stop talking, talk to yourself, and constantly fucking try and tell people what you're doing and where you're doing it in a respectful manner. That is in a respectful manner.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. If you could give like one piece, just your solid core piece of advice to those newer streamers, because I know we have a couple in the chat that have been asking, what would it be?
It would totally be like don't quit your day job, don't count on it, don't try and make money from it, and just have fun. Like which is like really cliche and cheesy, but if you don't have fun, then no one else is gonna have fun with you. So like, a lot of people think you have to make the smartest moves possible to become the biggest person. Like a lot of people started streaming for the exact same reason, is because they thought it looked fun, and then they worried about the business later on down the line. So I would always just suggest like just do it, have fun with it, and if anything comes of it, then maybe build on that, but don't like expect it because then you're just going to be super fucking disappointed.
Right, exactly. And if you go into it for the wrong reasons, you're not going
Yeah,
to stick with it.
yeah,
Or if you expect all of these big returns on your investment and you don't get them, you're just going to drop off because you're going to think that either you're not good or do you feel like anyone could be successful at streaming if they put the time into it?
no, I think there's
Hmm.
definitely some personalities of people that like they just don't. They're not made to entertain a couple hundred people, right? And that's a big point that everyone has to come to. Is I feel like at some point you have to have a come to Jesus with yourself and be like, am I actually cut out for this? But also you have to recognize like, is that a thought of like self doubt or not, right?
Yeah.
I think it requires a very objective mind to take yourself out of yourself and look at everything objectively and see what's going on. So I think no, but that's also not a bad thing, right? Like not everyone can be an actor, not everyone can be a voice actor, not everyone can make it big on YouTube. It's not really about like how hard you work. It's usually about like, are you like I have a picture hung up in my hallway that says like luck is what does it say? You know what it says? Car- do you know what the picture in the hallway says? The luck one? I always hold on. I'll just open the door. It's it's the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Okay.
So
Okay.
It's like you create your own luck, but I always forget the actual quote. And I love that, like, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And that, like, I always apply that to the more opportunities you seek out, the more opportunities you stop saying no to, the more things that you stop turning down, and the more things that you seek out for yourself, the more luck that you're going to create for yourself, because one day, one time later on down the road, you're going to be in a good position at some point. So it's not like, can you stream 20 hours a day? It's like, can you stream for like 6 hours a day, maybe still work your full-time job and find time to like fire off a couple emails maybe, or make a couple friends and be like, hey, maybe you should come check on my stream sometime, or find a friend in a broadcaster or something like that.
When you're first starting out streaming, or even just as somebody who is still relatively small, before like the partnership and you're sending, tons of like rejection letters to potential sponsors and all that stuff, how much time do you feel like people should be putting into actually streaming versus all the behind the scenes stuff?
Oh, the behind the scenes stuff is much more important. Like, it's the most important part, right? I feel like streaming is like 30% of it. It's the rest of it is like trying to, again, work hard or smart on like creating those opportunities. So, and like rejection is fucking, it's nothing if you have like the right mindset, where you fire off an email to a company or something, and you're like, hey, I really like your game. Do you want to do like a launch event of it or something? Or do you want to like, can I grab a key or whatever? Here's my numbers. Like, the second I fire off one of those emails, I've immediately forgotten that email exists. I don't even know what the company is. I've forgotten their game, don't know it, out of sight, out of mind. And that way, like, there's no expectations. I've already moved on to the next opportunity. And if they do say yes, it's like, I wake up at 8 a.m. I'm like, oh wow, that's a really cool surprise. Well, would you look at that? Guess I'm playing that game. So I think it's a lot of the work that you put in off the broadcast, and that's also like, work can include relaxing, which is odd enough to say. Like I said earlier, if you don't get out, if you don't do anything, if you don't do anything at all in your life, you're a boring person. And like, if you're a boring person, it's going to translate into your stream. So work can be going out and enjoying yourself so that you can be in a happier mood for the next day when you work.
Yeah, definitely, like, regulating your energy is extremely important, I think. And being able to kind of have that scheduled downtime where you're like, okay, now it's time for me to unwind. It's post-stream. Yeah. I've got 1,000 things. Like, how are you post-stream? What's your attitude like? What's your headspace like?
Post-stream, I fucking die. I just die. I get off the stream and I don't even want to fucking think about it. I don't even care about it. I do not give a shit, because it's like, I just spent 6 or 8 hours streaming, and the last thing I want to think about is like, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like, I'm a lot more relaxed and like not as crazy or wacky. If I really know somebody well, then I'm off the fucking wall. But generally I'm just very relaxed, and I go and I watch other streamers, and I hang out and talk to them and chat with my friends, or go out and grab drinks or whatever have you. But my ritual usually is like, get off stream, decompress for 30 minutes, because my mouth has been like for 6 hours straight. And then I either like get to whatever I have to do in the house, which is like cleaning or whatever have you. And I have like 3 to 4 hours a night where I just don't do anything, where I talk to people and I just don't work. Or if it's work, it's like an email back and forth. It's nothing ever like crazy serious. But I mean, that's also an impossible schedule to keep when you have like a promotion coming up, or you have like 30 things, like our D&D things. We've only just figured out how to schedule videos on YouTube. For the longest time, it was like,
oh my god,
at 7 p.m. I have to go click upload on this thing. Like, yeah, I'm just really stupid. I totally missed a setting. It's YouTube's fault in all actuality.
I actually just discovered that too, so it's fine.
Yeah, because if you upload videos unlisted, because it only gives you public and unlisted, so I would upload it as unlisted. And if it's unlisted, you can't schedule the video on YouTube. You have to set it to private, and then schedule it. And so like my buddy and I, who co-GMs and like co-owns Table Story, like we were talking in our DMs the other night, and we were like, how do we still not fucking have this? Like, how do you get this? Because he works with a really popular YouTuber, and I was like, how the fuck do you get this? He's like, I have no idea. So I tweeted it out, and someone was like, yeah, you got to privatize it, and then you can schedule it. So for the longest time, that was like my schedule was like, it was cut off because I had to go and upload this, and small tasks of work would cut into my relaxation time.
That's such a pain too.
It was a pain in the ass, yeah.
So talk to me about like YouTube and Twitter, social media / creating content on other platforms. How important is that? How much does it feed back into your Twitch personality and your Twitch business? And do you recommend other people to focus on those as well?
Yeah, I would recommend it. I don't really like, I don't do enough, I feel, but it's also like I don't have enough time or energy to. I fucking admire the people that have like a Snapchat and an Instagram and a Twitter and a Facebook, and they're on top of it, because I feel if I could give any advice, it would be that your content for each platform has to be unique. Like you can't just copy your tweets over to Facebook like I do. Like it doesn't work. You don't get any traction. You have to like make a unique post for Twitter, make a unique post for Facebook, make a unique post for Instagram, whatever have you. So like if you want to take the time to learn the 30,000 social medias that there are, then kudos to you. But I've found profit just like focusing on Twitter. Like everyone knows Twitter is the best place to find me now. Most of my business emails come through Twitter DMs now, because like people that work with me know I always have my phone. I'm ready to respond. But social media is really, really important. YouTube, I'm not so sure. We just use it for D&D because it's a place to archive. And I mean, hopefully people watch it as well, and they do, thankfully. But it's more of like, if you missed it live, here's where it is offline. With regular like variety content or whatever have you, that doesn't really work. Like uploading your 6-hour stream to YouTube, no one's gonna fucking watch that. Nobody will. I think like if you ever do want to go down that route, you really have to learn the exact like nuances and intricacies of every platform that you use, or you're just not going to be using it effectively. And I can't be fucking bothered with that, so I just don't do it. I just can't bother. I post on Instagram like once every couple of days, and Instagram's a really good one. A lot of people are really, really hot on that right now. I can't stand Snapchat, so I don't touch it. But Twitter's my main thing.
Yeah, Twitter is great. I feel like so many opportunities come from Twitter too. Twitter and Instagram both, like they're so great for content creators.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you spoke a lot actually about opportunities a little bit earlier. Can you kind of walk me through what a few of those opportunities have been that have come to you from streaming as a result of just all of this effort that you put in?
Yeah, like a lot of so like I work pretty closely with Humble Bundle. I've been a partner of theirs for like 7 months now, and I hit them up last month and I was like, hey, I really like the Humble Monthly. We've had some good sales lately. Let's do like a sponsored stream of it. And all it took was one email, and they were like, yeah, sure. So it was just one email and then a couple of more and one stream, and I made like X amount of dollars for doing a sponsored stream. Like those are some of the opportunities that can pop up if you just like ask. I think the gist of that was basically like, just don't be afraid of rejection and just continuously email as much as possible. Because as I was saying, I got a chance to work with Microsoft on a sponsored promo, and that was like, like Microsoft was a company that I idolized as a small child. So there's been so many cool opportunities that have come just from like one email. That, and again, setting up opportunities, like getting to know some people that if down the line, like if they had a cool opportunity for me, I would be the person they think of. Thankfully, I get chosen for a lot of things. It's like, hey, we need a Canadian, and you're a positive Canadian that hopefully won't shit talk the product that you're promoting or whatever you're doing while you're playing it. So we're gonna choose you. So it's a lot of just getting your name into things and out there or whatever have you, and then hoping that eventually it comes back.
Do you feel like newer streamers qualify for some of those same opportunities that you're talking about?
I'd say no, like not these specific ones, but I mean, like there's nothing wrong with a smaller streamer getting that opportunity. Like if they work hard enough for it, then they can present like, hey, here's what I bring to the table well enough, then sure, like absolutely. But a lot of those opportunities are like, oh, hey, you have 100,000 followers or something. Like, would you like this opportunity? And it's like, I don't want to play a mobile game, so I'm gonna pass. But also there are other ones where they're like, oh, you have good numbers that on the outside maybe you'd like to work together. So it's not all numbers, but it's definitely, those do play into it, because you have to present people with like, hey, this is what I bring to the table. Even if you're asking a game dev for a key, you have to be like, hey, I'm going to stream it to X amount of people, or hey, can I work your booth, or this is how many people I have following me that I can hopefully bring to your booth, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of companies look at numbers, unfortunately. They don't really look at your authenticity, because a lot of companies just want to make money.
Right.
But if you find one that's just solely focused on like, are you a good person? Do you are you good at what you do? Cool, let's throw some opportunities your way.
Right. I completely agree. I definitely think that, like, you have to realize that it's a business too, right? So those people are running businesses, and they're going to need you to be able to have a positive impact on their products. And if you can't bring enough people, you can't bring enough attention to the product, like, unfortunately, that's not really something that they can accommodate for every single person in every single situation. So
yeah, but it's motivation to do better and to keep trying to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking into the future, what are you excited for with your channel? And where do you kind of see yourself going on this path? Do you feel like you're just going to try to stream forever, or do you eventually want to work at a gaming company? What do you want to do?
I think I'm probably going to ride this out as long as it happens. Like, I'm not sure if I like should keep streaming for like another 3 years. I'm kind of at that point in my career where it's like, do I make it to the Big Ten and then see what's going on? Thankfully, I feel like there's enough skills you pick up broadcasting that can be easily transferred over to a company. But I'm not sure. I think like what I'm most looking forward to is like our role-playing shows picking up, and because my chat knows we've talked about it quite often. If it does pick up, we'll be opening up like a physical studio here in Toronto and doing content from that. So that's the big focus right now, is like building that and hopefully setting it on its way and letting it do its own thing. But right now everything is going to that. So in a couple of years, it depends, right? If the role-playing stuff takes off, then fuck yeah, I'll probably still be involved in that. If not, I have no idea. Depends on I guess the support and my mental well-being. Eventually I might just want to take a desk job and work away and put aside the more excitable days.
Yeah, totally. I totally get you. What is one like unique lesson that you've learned from Twitch that you feel like you wouldn't learn at that desk job?
Oh man, that nobody. How do I want to say like. No, it's more of like a nobody fucking cares about you kind of thing, but it's more of like a you're not as important as you think you are. Like in the grand scheme of things, you're just a really small speck, and especially like you really get that little fish big pond kind of feeling when you're on Twitch. So I think out of that, a lot of humility is probably like the best thing that I've been taught from streaming. It's like, yeah, sure, you have 100,000 people following you, but like you can't get a big head about it, because that's not what they want to see, and also like you don't deserve that big head. Like it was a lot of luck. It wasn't a lot of hard work. It was a lot of luck. So it's definitely a lot of humility, and knowing my place is a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you feel like newer streamers, with that unique lesson in mind, and just knowing that like you're important, yeah, like you're important to yourself and to the people in your life, but that you are one of 2 million streamers. Like, how do you put that in a perspective that somebody who is just starting on Twitch can understand?
You just tell them like there's 2 million other people that are doing the exact same thing that you have to do, and you have to try your hardest to stand out and be yourself, because I think you're a unique person no matter what you do. Like, not everyone is going to be the most unique person, but you add your own flavor to everything that you do. So the only thing you can do is try and add your own flavor to so many things.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I'll have you on for another episode at some point, okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Dope. Bye, Jay.
Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm doing my best to bring you as much information as I can. So if you have any video requests, please feel free to leave that information for me down below in the comments. Remember, you can always email me, ashnichrist@streamcoach.tv, if you need help with your channel. Aside from that, me and Jay's social media links will all be down below in the description box. Remember to thumbs up and subscribe if you like this content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace! Give me a kissy. Give me a kissy. Damn, you cold. He's so cold. What is this about, huh? Oh, we just gonna sleep? All right, we're just gonna sleep. Okay.